What is up? Welcome to the Next Guy Up podcast. I am here with the boys, Mason and Tins. We have an awesome episode for you today. We have an enormous weekend of football ahead of us. This week has been circled by a lot of people as one of the best weeks of football, like maybe one of the best lineups of college football we have seen in a long time. There are some huge matchups around the country, some rivalry games. It is going to be awesome. We're going to break down a bunch of those games for you today. The NFL starting to heat up. There was some coaching movement, some big news around the NFL. A new starter potentially, a team making a horrible decision. We have some fun stuff for you today. Mason, some food for thoughts.
I got plenty of them. I'm ready to go.
Boys, how are we doing today? How are we feeling?
Feeling alive, feeling great. Never better.
There you go. Short, sweet, and to the point. I like it. Let's see. What have I been up to? Even though I'm 30, I act like a 12-year-old. I just got some Pokemon video games in the mail. I've been buying some cards. Shout out to Kyle as well over here. He's been on the pod before. But nothing to report except for a ton of football to get to. I'm ready for it.
Nice. We've been recovering from a tough loss over the weekend.
Yep.
But we're coming back. We're nearly back, I think.
Nearly back. I can still taste the pumpkin spice that I mixed up. It wasn't just it was a double whammy for me. UT lost, and I had to. For one of my punishments, if you missed it last episode, I had to take a lot of kitchen spices and mix them in a pumpkin and with some coffee. The boys enjoyed it when I flipped open the wrong side of the lemon pepper and dunked half a container.
Electric content. Yeah, go watch the TikTok. It's very funny.
My throat's still burning from it.
Still burning, everybody. Yeah, we did. It is an interesting moment coming out of last week in football where so much craziness happened. And then all of a sudden you've got a bunch of big games. And so part of me is like, did we get all of our big games last week? Like, are these games just some blowouts now that all the ones that were projected big blowouts all became upsets? Who knows?
It was funny. A lot of people called it apple picking weekend. It was the weekend to go make plans and be like, okay, I don't have to watch college football all day. And then 5 top 11 teams got beat. It was a crazy weekend. So yeah, it really does make you wonder, like, wild. Is this weekend going to be kind of boring?
Could be. Probably not. There'll be some fun. Definitely. Just with the lineup we have, I think it's going to be electric. So, why don't we kick off? We're going to break down some games in a second. We're going to break down some storylines and some things like that. I've got a fun little trivia for you two. I think we can kick it off this way. I think it'd be fun.
I love a good trivia.
This is really short and sweet, but it's for both of you. Maybe we'll take turns. I have in front of me some different quarterbacks, and I'm listing their career trajectory, which teams they played for through their career, and you have to pick who you think it is.
All right, okay. Here we go.
Mason, are you live at this?
I'm here for it.
Okay, I'm gonna let Tins go first. Are you ready?
I apologize to the people for my voice. I've been out grinding all day, sucking in dirt. I sound terrible. I know.
Working in the mud.
I'm out here in the streets.
Literally, he's in the streets. Driving. Shout out to
started driving today.
Yeah.
It's been it's going to be some adjustment for a little bit here, but so I need to learn how to breathe only in my nose because I feel like the back of my throat is dry as the desert.
My guy needs a cough drop over there. Somebody get him a cough drop. Okay, Tim,
cough drop sponsor.
This quarterback went from Green Bay to Seattle Seahawks to your Tennessee Titans and ended with the Indianapolis Colts. 4 teams.
That's Hasselbeck, Matt Hasselbeck.
Wow.
It is Matt Hasselbeck.
Yep.
That is correct.
I forgot he was with the Packers.
That is
wow.
correct. Very good, then. Started off
Good
with
work.
the Packers, Seahawks, Titans.
He went to the Seahawks when Holmgren left the Packers as an offensive coordinator to go be the head coach for the Seahawks. And that's why he got that job for a long time, because he was Brett Favre's backup for a minute.
Wow. What a wealth of knowledge you are, Tim.
That is something, I might not be very good at UPS driving quite yet, but football knowledge,
He knows ball.
I'm your guy. I know ball.
I'm afraid I'm going to get smoked in this.
All right, Mason,
trivia.
you're next. Are you ready?
Okay. All quarterbacks, right?
Correct. Okay. This one's a longer lineage, so lock in.
Okay. I'm locked in.
There's 6 teams total.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay.
Los Angeles Rams. Kansas City Chiefs. Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mark Brunell.
Chicago Bears. No. Indianapolis Colts.
Ends with the Colts?
Let me say it one more time. Does Tens know?
Oh, wait. No.
I feel confident Tens knows.
Say it one more time.
Okay, here we go. Philadelphia Eagles, LA Rams, Kansas City Chiefs, Jacksonville Jaguars, Chicago Bears, Indianapolis Colts. I'll give you a hint. The most notable time of his career was with the Philadelphia Eagles.
It was was his name Cobb?
Nope.
I don't remember. What was it?
Super Bowl winning.
Super Bowl MVP, Nick Foles. He's got a statue in Philadelphia, baby.
Threw me off with the Chiefs. Was he?
Yep.
He was a backup there. Okay. Look at that. All right. Did Mark Brunell ever play for the Chiefs?
No. You're thinking of Chad Henne.
I think I was too fixated on too many or one team.
I would never have got that.
There have been a lot of teams. Jaguar starters who end up being backups on the Chiefs.
I should focus on the
and Chad Henne.
There you go. I should have focused on the last 3 because Nick Foles. Yeah, that's where I would have. Okay, go ahead. Good work.
Okay,
I like this.
They get much harder after this. I need to find some easy ones, maybe. This for Tens. I will. His first year in the NFL, he's in the Hall of Fame. His first year in the NFL was in 1960. I would be ultra impressed if you got this, but I think this is an interesting little history lesson.
All right, 1960.
There's only 2 teams.
Wow.
Sorry, my dog is drinking water right next to me very loudly. If you hear a slurping noise. First is the Minnesota Vikings to the New York Giants.
Is that?
I'll give you a hint. I literally had never heard of this person before.
Frank Tarkington?
He is correct.
Yes. Yep.
Tarkington.
Vikings great.
Yep. On the Hall of Fame. 1960
Good
was the
job,
start of his
Tens.
career.
Holy.
Shout out.
Are you ultra impressed? Is that the words he used?
I am. That was a pull that I did not expect Tens to have.
Pretty much anything earlier than the 90s quarterback wise for the Vikings, that would have been my answer, because I know he's like a very famous Vikings quarterback, because he still has a couple franchise records and a couple franchise game records that are kind of crazy if you look at them, considering the time of when he played and how football's played now. But he used to sling that thing around.
I have one of his sports cards. Fun fact.
Ooh.
Yeah. Wow. There you go.
Worth $3.33.
Correct.
Okay, last one, Mason. I think you can do this one. This is also an older one. Not that old. It's not as old as old Tarkenton, I don't think. We're starting off. Houston Oilers to the Minnesota Vikings to the Seattle Seahawks to the Kansas City Chiefs.
I think what's throwing me off is the Oilers.
Minnesota Vikings.
The Vikings.
Seahawks.
He didn't play for
Chiefs.
them. Warren Moon did not play for the Vikings, I don't think. That was my guess. Dang it. I don't know.
He did, in fact. It was Warren Moon. Yeah.
Oh, let's go.
That's not a trick question. Yeah. That's the only Oiler
The
question.
Chiefs threw me off because I thought it was Moon, but.
Okay. Hey, I got it right.
Attaboy. Okay. That was the 4.
I didn't know he played for the Chiefs, though.
Okay. I don't remember the Vikings. There we go.
Yep.
Okay.
There you go.
Is that the most famous Houston Oiler? Gotta be, right?
Maybe Eddie George. Or is he more of a Titan?
No, that is a good question. I think I'm surprised Eddie George isn't in the Hall of Fame. I was talking to my dad about this because we were talking about running back Hall of Fame, the argument about Derrick Henry maybe being the last one, and I was kind of surprised that Eddie George wasn't in the Hall of Fame yet.
Yeah, well, Eddie George can get in after Fred Taylor gets in because I think Fred Taylor clears him and everything.
Earl Campbell is probably, alongside Warren Moon, the most famous.
No, that's a good one.
Houston Oilers.
I was just about
Earl
to
Campbell
look at it.
Was also a beast. Okay.
Very nice. All right.
Very good, everyone. That's your history lesson for the day from Tins and Mason. Okay, do we want to do NFL? Do we want to start with NFL
out
talk?
Of session.
What do we feel?
Yeah, let's do a little NFL. We did some NFL trivia.
Some news.
Let's roll right into some NFL news. Big week is on top of everything going on in college football. It has been a very chaotic week in the NFL.
Yep.
First coach firing.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat of a surprise. I didn't think so. Robert Saleh is out as the Jets head coach after their loss in London. And I feel like we just got a scapegoat situation going on here. I don't know, Mason. I mean, I just don't see where the guy who is really he is the head coach, so it all falls on him at the end of the day, but he is in charge of the defense. He brought in Aaron Rodgers, hand-picked offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And you could say that the offense is the side of the ball that is losing them games. One could say.
Some people
offense
are saying
was 26th ranked, and the defense was 5th ranked. And he's a defensive coach. Can I bring a NBA like side to this, if you will? Comparison. When they do a lot of these dream teams and they don't mesh, do the big ego star players that just couldn't play together, do they ever take the fall for this? It's usually the head coach. And like I'm a Lakers fan, but like LeBron, I'm sorry, is like notorious for like if he can't get it together, who usually takes the fall? It's all of his head coaches.
Probably the terrible head coach.
I'd like to see. Oh, there he is. I'd like to see how many of LeBron's coaches got fired in mid-season or after one season.
Probably not enough of them.
You remember David Blatt, everybody? Well, anyways, we're getting off topic, but I just feel like this is
are they just hiring those coaches as scapegoats from the beginning? Like, is anyone expecting those guys to actually be successful, or are they just hiring because they're soft enough to let LeBron do whatever he wants?
That's probably the case, actually. But I'm just saying, for this, it's like you can't fire the quarterback. Like, he's under contract. I mean, I guess you could bench him, but you can't. I guess they could. I don't know.
What are the
They're
odds
not
he
going to
actually
bench
makes it
him.
through the
They
season?
spent so much money. Do what, Zach?
What are the odds he actually makes it through the whole season without getting injured?
He has a high ankle sprain right now.
That doesn't seem very high. They just let him take care of himself. Let him play long enough. He's going to get injured. Don't worry.
So, Zach had like the stats earlier in the trivia. The first time owner of the Jets during his 25-year tenured, how many times has he fired a coach in season since 1975? 0.
Wow.
Charlie Winter, nobody knows who that is, was dismissed after a 2-7 start and replaced by Ken Shipp. So there's that for you. Also, the defensive coordinator was the one to get the intern coach position for this.
This is just tough. I feel like the Jets are going to, as a locker room, kind of turn on each other a little bit. The defensive players really like playing for Saleh, and you could tell him and Aaron just didn't get along.
Yeah,
and so I don't know why you pick Aaron. He could be a free agent after this year, the way his contract's set up. He could very well retire, and you've now mortgaged a lot of your future into Aaron Rodgers, who could go run for some political thing. He could go disappear to Brazil to take ayahuasca for 3 months.
3 picks in London.
3, 2. One of them was a pick 6 to Van Ginkel, who's a long-haired version of the three of us combined. If you need to know who that guy is. So I don't know. I feel like it was an inevitable move. I just don't think it's going to do anything. Like, I don't see this being like something that flips the switch of the team and now they go on a big winning streak. Like, I feel like it's just going to kind of avalanche on themselves.
And do you remember when Aaron Rodgers decided to like not be at training camp for an absence? Yeah.
To go to Egypt?
In Egypt. Real quick, they put odds out. We can't bet it here in Tennessee, but Jets next head coach. Do you want to guess who it is? The favorite.
Who would be the favorite? No, give it to me.
The favorite is Ben Johnson for the Detroit Lions.
No, that's okay.
Then after that, Bobby Slowick. And
I'm okay.
Mike Vrabel at plus 500. I might take that. Him and Bill Belichick are like on every team's like next head coach. Everybody just
GM
thinks
head coach combo.
They just took a year off. Everybody get ready for it.
It's kind of tough being a guy who might have been hollering about a new GM and head coach combo because the most popular combo is Vrabel, who I'd really like, but I'm not trying to take Belichick as my GM.
Could be electric, honestly.
That
could be fun.
No,
somebody said the
not
Jets.
as a GM.
Somebody was like, the Jets could pull off the funniest thing ever, and it was like Bill Belichick cropped in a Jets coaching, like his horrible like half eaten hoodie that he always wears. That's like got the cut, like sleeves cut off. He's like a multi-millionaire, and he looks like he's homeless. But everybody was like, they could pull off the funniest thing by hiring him on the off season, and then now the Jets. They could have revenge on the
pick
Patriots.
him up on a contract. That'd be pretty electric.
Bill Belichick won't want Aaron Rodgers.
He could turn Aaron Rodgers around. He's used to coaching aging quarterbacks.
What if they just brought him in season to be the new head coach?
That'd be wild.
That's what I was saying.
That'd be awesome.
That would be awesome.
That'd be the best thing ever.
The Jets, I mean, could you imagine how hyped the Jets organization would be? Like, the fans would be ecstatic about that.
Could they do that with
Patriots in like 2 weeks?
Oh, that'd be electric.
Let's make it happen.
If the Colts can bring in Jeff Saturday to be their interim head coach, who has zero coaching experience, there's no rules. We can do whatever we want.
I forgot about that. It's a funny time in sports. What was I going to say? Oh, the TV contract with Bill, because he's like on ESPN staff, right? Or whoever staff.
Does that care about them contracts?
I didn't know if that mattered.
It's whatever.
It makes so much
money. You take it pro bono. Do it for free. Just for the vibes. Go beat New England.
For the vibes.
So first coach firing, not the first one I thought was going to happen, but hey, it is what it is. We've got some new quarterback news. Also, we got 2 new starters, one due to injury and one due to it's time to throw the rookie out there. You want to do the injury first down in New Orleans?
Yes, yeah. And I was trying to think, was Spencer Rattler on Last Chance U?
No, he was on that quarterback show.
Yeah,
quarterback show. Okay, I was trying to remember Beyond the Lights.
QB1.
Yeah, QB1.
Yeah. It was when he was in high school.
I just feel like we've seen him forever, and then he kind of disappeared to be the backup for 3 months, and now he's thrown back in our face. But with that, and then college, and wait, Zach's not a Spencer Rattler fan?
Correct.
I mean, he did terrible things to the Vols.
Correct. The further we removed I am from that game, I blame Connor Stallions and the Michigan organization for that loss more than Spencer Rattler.
Yeah, there we go.
I'll stick to that forever.
I get the hate for Spencer Rattler, but also at the same time, when you are 18 years old, you're the number 1 quarterback prospect in the country, and then you get cameras shoved in your face, you're going to find some bad moments. Like, does he have an ego? Yeah, probably. He doesn't seem like the most humble of people. But at 18 years old, if we were sticking a camera in Deshaun Watson's face or Patrick Mahomes or, I don't know, Bryce Young, like I'm sure they'd have some bad clips too.
Well,
No.
what I was going to say is I was kind of shocked by it because if anybody, we didn't really get to touch on this game, but Derek Carr got hurt at the very end, and they actually put in Jake Hayner. And I was expecting him to get the start since he did play. He only got 7 attempts, but he played at the very end of that game, so I didn't know what they were. Well, go ahead.
So Rattler's been the emergency third string quarterback, just so he can. So the way the NFL works is you can have 3 on your roster, but on game day, the third one has to be inactive. So Hayner is the veteran. They wanted to say if Carr got hurt during the game, that Hayner would go in, even though he's only been there a year. But Rattler is going to start now. He's been taking all the first team reps, and he's been getting a lot of time in practice too. They really like him. They legitimately think he could be like Derek Carr. I think is a cap casualty after this year. Like there's a lot of talk that the Saints, if their coaching staff stays the same, like no change at head coach, that Spencer Rattler could stick around as the starter. They really like him.
We'll see about that.
He just has bad
after a couple games.
Without Connor Stallions sharing the signs for you.
Do I know if he's an NFL like ready? He's literally going to be thrown in. I'm not really sure. I guess they just want to see what they have in him now because, well, what Derek Carr has 1 more year on his contract after this.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just wanting to see what they got in him over Jake, but we'll see what happens. I was going to pull up some preseason stats, but sometimes I'm just like those are skewed because they're going up against third string defensive players that are not even on the NFL roster anymore. So I was like, so there you go. Speaking of a rookie, should we talk about Drake May?
Yeah. So Drake May has officially been announced the starter after Gerard Mayo has been saying for the better part of 2 months that Jacoby Brissett is their guy. They have no intentions of Drake May starting this year. Well, after 5 weeks of the Jacoby Brissett experiment, Gerard Mayo said, never mind, let's get Drake out there, which I don't know if this is the best move. It's a very bad offensive line. You're not doing anything this year. You're not pushing for the playoffs. I get getting Drake in there and, getting a feel for the NFL, but behind this bad of an offensive line with very mediocre weapons, what's the point?
So have you watched any Patriots games? Did Jags play? Yeah, Jags played them, right?
We play them 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
But I have watched some of their stuff.
I watched some of the
I bet on them a lot for some reason. Like a lot of props. I find myself like with a lot of Patriots wide receiver props. So I'm like, what am I doing?
So a lot of the listeners are going to be like, no, I've not like watched a Patriots game. Why would I do that? But it's like when I've watched it, it's not just bad quarter. Like it's the whole team itself. Like I just feel like you're self-destructing. Like you're putting him in a bad. What does Drake May have to play for at this point? Like he can't bring this team out of a hole. They only won 1 game, right? So they're 1-5.
Yeah.
And it's like he's not going to be able to get them out of the hole to give them the playoffs. Or I don't understand. Like, just go ahead and let him sit like for the whole season, and the whole fan base knows that this is a lost season, and don't throw him in and get him injured. Or he just like we saw Bryce Young
wreck his confidence.
Yes, that's what happened to.
If he doesn't look good, everyone's going to say you're Mac Jones 2.0. It's like, is it really worth throwing him out there for that? Like,
I just don't understand the rush.
He's young too. He's super young. He's like 21, barely.
Yeah. If anything, I would put him at the very end when it's like it's completely donezo, and you can, and maybe some teams are already making it to the playoffs and they're going to bench a lot. I just don't. Yeah. I'm not an NFL
maybe
coach.
Last 5 games, not week 5.
I know. They seemed all in on Jacoby, and has he been that decent? He's been okay, but the wide receivers are not good. I've seen them missing routes and dropping balls. And so you're just going to throw Drake May in there expecting like a miracle, and it's not going to work. So there's that.
Excited to see him, though. I like Drake May.
Yeah. I know you've been high on him. I think you were
Very.
higher on him than Jaden Daniels was, like in the offseason.
Yeah, we'll see how good I am at scouting quarterbacks because I didn't like Jaden Daniels. So.
I think it's just a system fit too. I'm curious to see like what Drake May is going to do.
It's true. Cliff Kingsbury, very good coach.
Look good in teal, apparently.
Well,
and we don't really.
I've never said that about the teal thing. That's you. I don't think he'd wear teal on the sideline. Probably white. A lot of time white.
Oh, there you go. You just said he won't wear teal, and then you said teal and white.
No, I said white. A lot of time white.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
He seems like a white polo guy.
Okay, there you go. Last thing, there was actually 3 quarterback changes. This one we don't really need to touch on too much, but Aiden O'Connell, they already are. Yeah, they traded back over to him. I didn't feel like I saw.
Who cares of the week? The Raiders quarterback situation.
And on the who cares segment, nobody.
Who cares about that team? They're freaking disaster. Devontae Adams wants to trade. Max Crosby said, I want to go with Devontae. So who knows?
Who cares?
That team is on fire. Not in a good way.
All right, good deal. Anything else with the NFL you wanted to touch on? Oh, by the way,
I think that's it.
Back to the Jets thing. They fired their head coach, and then I'm pretty sure they have a Monday night game. And then I'm pretty sure they have a Sunday night game. So that would be interesting. Perfect timing for them to like decide to do this. Monday night.
They'll probably get flexed. I bet they get flexed out of one.
Out of one of them, they can't flex this Monday night game already. Like these are the next 2 weeks. It's Monday night this week and then Sunday night. You think they'll change it already?
No, because the Jags game is in London. We play them in 2 weeks.
Okay, you'll have to double check. They can start. Week 7 is the Jets and Steelers Sunday night at 7:20. You're playing the Patriots in London game.
Why am I sorry?
You're good, but you're in London. You got that. You got that part right.
Tins. Come on.
Yeah, check my sources. Sorry, just checked them. I was wrong. I was talking about the Patriots.
You even told me a couple minutes ago. You're like, yeah, we play. I was like, you guys play the Patriots? Oh yeah, in 2 weeks.
Yeah, Patriots. No,
it's they can
start. They can start flexing after week 6.
Okay, there you go. I did not know that. Fun fact.
10 days. Right. They have to do like a 10-day notice.
Okay, it's not bad. All right, you guys ready for some college?
Cue the CBS
are we ready
music
for some college football? We teased it earlier. There is a pretty electric slate of games on Saturday, so buckle up. These are the ones we've been looking ahead towards for a very long time. Let's not bury the lead here. There is a serious fraud alert meter going off at a particular game up in Oregon. There are a lot of people thinking this is going to be a very tight game. I'm not one of them. I think there is a real fraud in the building, and I think somebody's getting exposed. I think that one team's going to walk away with a big win here. But let's talk about it a little bit. We have your Ohio State Buckeyes at Oregon in a Big Ten matchup. This is their number 2 in the AP poll versus number 3 in the AP poll. Both teams are 5-0. Let's quickly recap their 5 wins. Ohio State has beat Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall, Mississippi State, and Iowa. All of them have been very convincing wins. Great for them. Shout out to the Ohio State schedule makers. Next, you have your Oregon Ducks. They struggled against Idaho and Boise State. Darn near lost to Boise State in week 2, 37-34. They beat
Boise
Oregon State.
Got the next Hall of Fame running back.
Boise State could be a playoff team still. That is true. UCLA as a win, and Michigan State is a win as well. Shout out to Michigan State for already playing Ohio State and Oregon.
Just get it out of the way.
What a bummer of a schedule they have. So we have 2 teams who I think most people would agree have largely been untested. Oregon and Dylan Gabriel as quarterback kind of started off much slower. Ohio State has kind of just ran over every team they faced so far without a lot of opposition. They have Judkins at running back, who has been tearing it up a good bit. No real superstars on that roster, doesn't feel like. Like last year, it felt like you had Marvin Harrison Jr. You had a couple of big highlights. Same with Oregon. Dylan Gabriel was a preseason Heisman favorite. He's still in the conversation, I guess, if they win this game. Both teams, this has kind of been the matchup we've circled because both teams' schedules were so soft in the first bit of the season. So, Tins, how do you feel about this game?
I like Oregon. I think it took them a game and a half to start the year to kind of figure out their identity. And I think they've figured it out. A lot more quick game, running the ball more, playing solid defense. They're not the same sling it as much as they did with Bo Nix. Dylan Gabriel is a good athlete, so I like what I've seen out of Oregon since they've kind of figured out what they want to do and settled into who they are. So I still like this Oregon team. I was pretty high on them coming into the year. I didn't like how things started, but I like the way it's been heading. And I've watched some of this Ohio State team, and maybe it's just because their spreads are so ridiculous. They're so big that I've missed betting on them because they're like, I took them against Marshall. Marshall scored 14 points, and I still didn't cover the spread. But I don't know. I'm missing that firepower with Ohio State that I normally get. Like, I don't feel like they've – I mean, they're pretty high on this freshman, Jeremiah Smith.
Yep. He's their star power for sure.
He's their star power, but at the end of the day, true freshman wide receiver in Oregon with a quarterback I don't trust. I don't think Will Howard is great. I think Oregon does have a good home field advantage.
Weird. Yeah.
I know it's Ohio State -3.
Correct.
I think this game is truly a push, like a pick 'em.
Really?
And I think that if they played on a neutral field, it would come down to the wire. I do give Oregon the advantage with home field. I think I'll be rocking up there. First true Big Ten game. So I like Oregon.
Over-under is 55.5, which honestly feels a little bit low for me for a tight game. These are teams you traditionally think of scoring a lot of points. So whether you're trusting some defenses to step up, I think I actually like Ohio State in this game. I think there is a chance that Oregon is just not as good as advertised. We've seen a couple of teams exposed, perhaps including Tennessee as top teams who people just kind of thought were good on paper and ended up maybe not, having some missing pieces. And so from Oregon's schedule for it looks like they just have a couple of pieces that they still aren't as solid as they have been in years past. So I think there's a chance. They've escaped some pretty bad losses already. I don't know. I'm not convinced.
I'm not convinced off between me and Zach.
It's an interesting
I'm not
game,
convinced
though.
about Ohio State. He's not convinced about Oregon.
I will be watching.
I plan on having it on one of the screens. I bet you I find some time to watch this game.
We're watching that one. Definitely. Okay. There is a very, very high chance both those teams show up in the playoffs, though. And I think at least a couple of us have an Oregon Big Ten champion bet in the future. So
couple laying around.
Yeah. Okay, next up, a big SEC matchup. This is actually my most intriguing matchup of the weekend, I think. Two teams on similar but different paths. This is Ole Miss at LSU. Obviously, going down to LSU, playing a night game, will always be an electric environment. Ole Miss coming off a big bounce back win against Kentucky, where they looked very good. They looked much better than they did. Not against Kentucky, I'm sorry. Against South Carolina after their loss to Kentucky. Big bounce back win. LSU coming off of a bye week. LSU took the loss to USC at the beginning of this season, but then has looked pretty good since then. I will say they have not played a ton of competitive competition since then. They did beat South Carolina at South Carolina. They beat UCLA. They beat Southern Alabama and Nicholls State. Ole Miss, again, had a pretty convincing win against South Carolina. And so here we have a pretty intriguing matchup. Ole Miss is another team that's on the road but favored by 3.5 in what will be a very tough road environment. Ooh, this one's tricky too. This is another one of those games that feels Ole Miss is favored, but I feel like it could go a couple different ways. Nussmeier has been playing a good bit better as of late. Jackson Dart looked human for sure against Kentucky, but then bounced back in South Carolina. So we have a lot of storylines in this one. What is the real reality is there is probably a playoff spot that is floating in the air above these two teams. And they are kind of both penciled in as potentially a like fifth playoff spot out of the SEC. And this game could very well determine which one of them gets it. A lot on the line. Tens, how you feel about this one?
It's LSU at night. Give me LSU. Give me the over. I think neither one of these teams like to play very much defense.
64.5.
Yeah, points. Give it to me.
A lot of points.
I might bump that sucker up to 70. We're looking at a 38-35 game laying around here.
It very well could be.
Final score 10-7. But I think it's going to be points. LSU is they've been searching for that every down back for a long time, since like when they had a good stretch of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Leonard Fournette was in there, and Ligarius Geist. LSU's always had very good running backs, and they've kind of fallen off the last couple of years. This kid Durham,
my guy,
Caden Durham, freshman, has I've watched some LSU games where he's waving off the sidelines like, "No, you're not subbing me out. Let's go. Give me the ball. Let's go."
He's a dog.
He's a dog. I like what I've seen out of him. Something about LSU at night. It's not a place you want to play.
No, it's not.
For sure. I just don't know that Jackson Dart's got that. I don't know. It's the same thing. I kind of same reason I thought was going to happen in South Carolina. They never really got to him, and LSU doesn't have.
The game was very close, though. Or are you talking about South Carolina?
Yeah, they never really got they never beat up on Dart like I thought they would. I thought their defensive line would play better. LSU, no one stands out on their defensive line to me, but I think that extra bit of juice from it's LSU at night, the crowd is going crazy. Those guys will get after it and affect Jackson just enough to where I like LSU with the points, but I love the over. I think it's an over game. Fireworks, explosions.
This was tricky for me again. If you look at LSU's schedule, they scored 27, 44, 36, 34, 42 points. So that over looks pretty good. After they lost to USC in week 1, USC's looked a little bit more human. They've taken some pretty bad losses, fallen out of the top 25. Their biggest win is against South Carolina, who just got beaten pretty badly by Ole Miss last weekend. The other wins, like I said earlier, are Nicholls State, UCLA, and South Alabama. So I'm not sure LSU's actually done a whole lot to convince me. I mean, I know that Nussmeier's looked better. I'm not convinced in LSU's team yet. I do think the X factor in this game, like we've said, is LSU Stadium. Tiger Stadium is always hopping at night. That is going to be a couple points swing. I like Ole Miss, though, I will say. I think Ole Miss is legit. I kind of hedged last week on both SEC teams rebounding, Missouri and Ole Miss. Missouri did not. They went the opposite direction, but Ole Miss did. And so I think Ole Miss could be – I think they're in the playoff race still. I think if they win this game, they'll be firmly there. So a good one, though. I'm excited for it. It'll be a fun game.
Very excited. As a guy with some Ole Miss stuff in the future, I wouldn't hate if they won. But I'm just trying to stay away from them.
It's fair.
I bet on them. They do me dirty in Kentucky. I fade them in South Carolina. They come for revenge. So let me try something here.
Okay, we've got a bunch of big games on the schedule, so we're gonna move through these. Pretty good, but a lot of really important games. Next one, Red River Shootout, Texas, Oklahoma, big spread. These are kind of a tale of two teams. Texas has been dominant so far. They have really looked solid on all aspects of the ball. Quinn Ewers is coming back as quarterback. This was the game he was hoping to be back for. It looks like he's going to be. A Texas team that looks very good defensively. Juxtapose that with an Oklahoma team who offensively is still a dumpster fire. I think they're looking at getting Deion Burke back this week potentially, but they still have a lot of question marks around their offense. Mainly, maybe not even question marks. I think they're just not very good on offense. Defensively, though, they're very good. It will be a tough task to try and slow down this Texas offense. This game is another one where really all three of the games talked about so far will be heavily impacted by environment, which team can come out. I mean, this game, the momentum can shift so fast. And we saw last year an Oklahoma team who was pretty outmatched, came and got a big win against Texas. And so this can go a lot of different ways. Tens, who do you like here in the Red River shootout?
As much as I don't like it, it's Texas by a lot. I think this Oklahoma team is bad. I think this is going to further push my narrative that Venables is getting fired this year.
Could be.
You can't get embarrassed in this game. You can't start out in the SEC bad. I think both of those things are going to happen. So he's out. He's bye-bye. And Texas is just going to keep looking like the number one team, even though they are not.
They got a big matchup coming up in a couple weeks with Georgia.
I think they're gonna get that one too.
Oh,
and I don't even Texas, like saying that. I don't even like Texas, but I just think they're good.
We're a complete team. I think
they're a good complete team. They do everything good. They don't do anything elite.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect year for that because I don't think there's a college football team that is elite. There's not your back-to-back Georgias. There's not your normal Bama. There's not, an Ohio State team with a first-round draft pick at quarterback, receiver, running back, and all 5 offensive line spots. Like, it's just
true.
I think it's a down year for everyone. Or it's like a mediocre year for everyone. Like, they're all good, but no one's elite like they normally are. And Texas is kind of just jumped on that opportunity, and they're going to keep doing it until the playoffs.
There you go. What'd it take? I do think Texas wins that one pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have a big matchup in the Big 10, Big 12, and no, we have 2 Big 12 matchups and 1 Big 10 matchup. So we're going to go through this kind of quick. We have Penn State, USC. Again, this is a USC team that's reeling a little bit. We have a Penn State team that there's still a lot of question marks around in my mind, but a lot of people are starting to jump on that Penn State bandwagon. A lot of people are looking at that team as more of a playoff type contender. They will have a couple of tough games down the schedule, but this is a big one. I feel like USC's pulled a pretty tough schedule so far. You hear USC popping up a lot. This is the number 4 in the nation Penn State team, favored by 4.5 on the road, where we've seen a lot of Big Ten teams struggle traveling to the West Coast so far, playing at USC. 4.5 point over-under is 40.5. 50.5. Sorry, 50.5 points, which feels pretty low for a USC team. It's a Penn State team that usually hangs their hat on defense, though. So, pretty interesting.
This one to me, this is when James Franklin loses. Ooh. He's got Penn State up to number 4. Everyone's like, "Oh, this year's different. This year's different."
Illinois, good team.
Yeah, and what does Penn State normally do when all things seem to be like they finally turned the page?
Correct.
Oh, when you turn the page, it says stop, go back 5. That's what happens. So they'll lose this game, and then they'll get smashed by Michigan or Ohio State, and then they'll be right back to not making the playoffs. That's what Penn State does.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind it. Their schedule has been very soft so far. I mean, Illinois was the only team that was really competitive that they played. Other than that,
Yep.
it's pretty soft.
And Illinois is a solid team, but they don't have the offensive firepower, I don't think, to kind of match what Penn State has over there on the defensive side. And I don't know, something about this USC team. I can't quit them. I can't get rid of them. They're just in my brain.
They're a weird team.
I think they're good, but they keep just hurting me.
I mean, last year they were obviously super offensive heavy, and they were a big question mark just because their defense was pretty much non-existent. Not really the case anymore, but they are very hit or miss as a program right now. Okay, next up we have Iowa State, West Virginia. This has become a pretty big Big 12 matchup here, as Iowa State has all of a sudden maybe shocked the world, but they overcame a deficit last week, and they're sitting undefeated now as the odds-on favorite to win the Big 12. Playing a West Virginia team who has been up and down so far this season. They're 3-2, but they're at home, and they are 3-point underdogs to an Iowa State team who is ranked number 11 in the nation right now, coming into town. Tins, I know you had a bet on Iowa State last week, and we're pulling for them to win that one, which they did. Do you believe in this Iowa State team? You think they can win the Big 12?
Sign me up, baby. I'm a Cyclone.
He's a Cyclone, baby.
I'm done with West Virginia. I was somewhat in love with this team beginning of the year.
You were.
They burned me. They burned me bad.
They did. Week 1.
The thing is last year I was down on them because all talks were their head coach was going to get fired. It's a lame duck. They weren't going to be very good, and they played above expectations. So I thought this year they would carry that momentum and play very well. No, they're just back to being mediocre. He can get fired. I don't care about him. It's not a mean thing to say. College buyouts are the dream job.
True.
Cyclone time. Iowa State, rise up. Let's get to 6-0. I don't think it's going to be a problem either. I think they handle it. Yeah.
I will say this West Virginia team started off rocky. They lost to a Penn State team that again is looking not as bad. They took a very close loss to a Pitt team who's also undefeated. And then they beat Kansas and Oklahoma State in the last 2 weeks. So West Virginia is trending upwards for sure.
They smacked Oklahoma State.
They did 38-14. Oklahoma State may just be bad though.
Yeah, here's a secret. They might be bad.
Verdict's in. Yeah, they may be bad. But that one's a huge one for Big 12 championship game. That Big 12 playoff spot implications there. As Iowa State, will they continue to roll and kind of solidify their spot in the Big 12, or will they continue just cannibalizing themselves like they have so far this season? They're the only team that's come out unscathed so far.
Yeah, that would end the kind of fun narrative of like 2 random teams making the Big 12 because
it'd be fun.
You would think Utah is going to get the other slot.
Well, if Cam Rising could ever come back and play,
I'm sure he'll get his 17th year of college football next year.
Okay, last game on our slate that we're going to talk about here. This is another huge Big 12 game. We have 2 one-loss teams battling it out. We have Kansas State playing a team that has kind of been is back in the national conscious again. That would be Colorado, who all of a sudden is looking a little bit more like a competitive program and roster. So Kansas State has not looked bad. They took a loss to BYU, but BYU has looked pretty good so far. The BYU is also competing for that Big 12 spot. They beat Oklahoma State. They're coming off of a bye, but they beat Oklahoma State 2 weeks ago. And then Colorado also coming off a bye week, just beat UCF pretty convincingly, beat Baylor in overtime. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think Travis Hunter is obviously a fun player to watch. He is kind of the reason people are tuning into a lot of the games. This is a good one. I think this is honestly kind of one of those
sneaky good game.
Yeah, I think it's at 10:15 p.m. Eastern time. Sheesh. probably not be watching this one live, but this is a Big 12 championship kind of determiner as well. These are two teams who are definitely in the picture for that. So,
yeah, for sure. Kansas State is a very wild card team to me. I've watched a bunch of their games. This freshman quarterback, Johnson, is crazy. Like, he runs around with the ball like he's playing backyard football a lot of times. And it's worked so far. I mean, they're 4-1. In Colorado, I don't know. I feel like they might have caught lightning in a bottle a little bit. And I think as a team, I think they know that if they can perform well, they could get Travis Hunter the Heisman. That might be important to them.
here's the thing about this Colorado team. And maybe this is like a zig to your zag. Their wins this season have been North Dakota State, lost to Nebraska, team that's pretty good. Fake Patrick Mahomes is on there. They beat a Colorado State team that's very bad. They beat a Baylor team in overtime, who got beat pretty bad by Iowa State last week. Again, Baylor's another team that's pulled a very tough schedule so far. But Baylor, and then they beat a UCF team convincingly. Then that same UCF team went to the Swamp and just got trashed on by Florida, who we know to be a very bad team. So I think Colorado kind of flew into their bye week as on top, kind of flying high. I'm not quite sure that that maybe we just hit a pretty easy part of their schedule. I don't know. I'm not sold on the Colorado experiment still this season. They're fun to watch though, for some of their talent as a team. Mm-hmm. I will say their schedule is not super tough though.
This is one of those games. Let's do a quick
schedule look actually here because it's pretty interesting. Here's what they have the rest of the season. They're playing Kansas State at home in Colorado. At Arizona, they host Cincinnati. At Texas Tech, they host Utah, which will be a huge game, potentially.
Yeah.
They go to Kansas, who's 1-5. And then they host Oklahoma State, who is 3-3. We just talked about them. I mean, Colorado's got a pretty real chance if they can win this game this week, and then it'll probably be a game against Utah for a Big 12 champion or Big 12 play-in game, basically.
Yeah.
So I think they've got everything out in front of them. Will they drop a stupid game? Probably. Good chance.
This is one of those games. I bet the over. I turn on the game. I fall asleep at some point. Let's be real. And then I wake up and be like, oh, the overcashed. Congrats to me.
By the way, Kansas State favored by 4.5 here.
Ooh, on the road.
So we've got a couple of road teams who are slight favorites in these big games. Could be a storyline. Or could not be. Okay. Tins, you got anything else on your heart? College?
No, I don't think so. Other than next time UT plays, whoever it is, it's a bloodbath.
Yeah, we didn't mention that one here.
Move the spread all the way up.
Tennessee is hosting Florida in what is a big-time rivalry game coming off of a tough loss. I think my goal is to beat them bad enough to where Billy Napier is afraid he's going to get fired on the way home. That's really my dream.
He should.
I don't know that he will, but I kind of want to beat him. This game is famously very close no matter what. I would like for this to not be close. That is my one request to the good people at the Tennessee Volunteers program. I would like to beat them by 30 plus, and for Billy Napier to not make the return trip to Gainesville. And that's all I'm going to say about it.
I'm moving it all the way up. So as high as DraftKings will let me go.
I think it's 15.5 right now.
Shoot,
it was 20 before Tennessee lost to Arkansas.
It's all right. That just means I can make some more money now.
Correct.
I'm moving it. I'm moving it all the way up.
There is some wide receiver injuries on the team. Tennessee's got some issues to work out there. A couple of their top wide receivers all got banged up. And so injury report came out on Wednesday night as we're talking. Looks like Dante Thornton will not be playing. is questionable. Brew McCoy was playing with a cast on his hand. Squirrel White, I think, will play. Yeah, playing wide receiver with a cast on your hand is one of the wildest things I've ever. I don't understand how they can do that, but
be a little tough.
I guess you can block with a cast on your hand. Okay. Do we want to close out the show with some food for thoughts?
Yes, real quick. I was looking at the highest it will let you go. Tennessee minus 26.5 at plus 219.
Cowards wouldn't let me get to 30.
Sometimes they'll give you can take the prop of like Tennessee to win by 30 plus or whatever. Or like
yeah, you can find that. Usually
I'll
it's
find
like
it's like the exact win by numbers, but then they will sometimes do like the huge, basically everybody on a blowout.
Yeah. All right, yeah, let's close out with some food for thought. Probably one of our most controversial and fun drafts that we've done since the inception of this podcast was Halloween candy draft. So I
Why
just
was it
wanted
controversial,
to touch,
Mason? Can you tell the class?
I don't, because I didn't win. That's why it was controversial.
Yeah, but what was the pick? There was one pick, a couple picks actually. Was it? It was before or after you said they should microwave candies.
Was that before or after? I don't remember. Microwave the M&Ms. Try it, everybody. Caramel M&Ms.
We do not endorse microwaving caramel M&Ms for the record.
No, it was a Ferrero Rocher, which now I know how to pronounce it. All three of us were pronouncing it incorrectly on that podcast as well. Just great content. Go back and find it. Okay, so Halloween is around the corner, and just like everything in this world, the prices have gone up. For Halloween candy, it has gone up 14%. Wow. But not what you would think, not just because of inflation, but due to a chocolate shortage of cocoa beans. About 70% of the world's cocoa is produced from cocoa beans grown in West Africa. But for the past 2 years, weather patterns have hindered cocoa bean growth, forcing companies to pay more for cocoa beans to keep the demand.
Wow. What a travesty.
This Halloween season, Americans are expected to spend approximately $3.5 billion on candy this year.
Feels like a lot.
This does feel like a lot.
Okay, I have a question for both of you.
Yes, and I have some more fun facts about it.
If you're going... oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You got it.
If you're going trick-or-treating and you have a basket full of candy, what's your ideal percentage of chocolate versus non-chocolate?
Oh, Zach, this is fantastic. This was literally one of my stats. So I can't answer this, but go ahead. Well, I can't answer my personal. Yeah, this is a legitimate stat.
How do they
but go ahead, Tens.
Okay.
I'm a 60-40.
60 which way?
Chocolate. Just because of Reese's, Twix, a little Butterfinger action. Never hurt anybody.
It's true.
I think I might be
60-40. I think I might be 60-40 the other way.
Oh,
I'm kind of a big like Starburst, Skittles, Sour Patch Kids type of guy.
Yeah, I like Sour Patch Kids
a lot. Worms.
And gummy worms, but I don't like Starburst or like licorice of any kind, like Twizzlers.
I like Twizzlers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do like chocolate for sure. I like chocolate.
Chocolate's great.
I guess feel about Tootsie Rolls in your candy basket.
Hurts my throat for some reason.
Oh yeah.
Maybe there's red dye.
We talked about this.
You Trental boys have one food that is your kryptonite. Shout out frozen pizzas.
We were talking about Tootsie Rolls. But anyways, this was a stat. Chocolate candies generally dominate in sales, accounting for 70% of Halloween candy sales. So America is 70-30. You can't think about it that way.
Chocolate is 70%?
Yeah, of the sales, the chocolate candies.
10 is pretty close.
Average candy consumption. On average, kids they consume about 3.4 pounds of candy during the Halloween season. Zach, what's your number?
Way more than that.
7 pounds.
Those rookie numbers.
One year, We were living in this neighborhood, and I was anticipating a lot of kids, and there were far less than anticipated. And I had so much candy left over, and that was a huge problem for me. Because if I have candy in front of me, I'm just going to eat it until it's gone. And boy, did we have so much candy. That was not a good couple of days for me personally. 3.4 pounds. It's a lot of candy.
Seems like a lot. It's a lot of candy. Okay, next food for thought. Let's rapid fire here. Uncrustables just launched a new flavor for the first time in 10 years.
I saw this in the store.
We need to try it. Do you guys know what it is?
Nutella, right?
No, this according peanut butter and raspberry spread.
Oh,
is the one I
saw
found.
Uncrustables Nutella in the store. Am I crazy?
Fact check them.
It's been a thing.
I buy those. Yeah.
It said 10. It said 10 years. So I wonder if Nutella came out.
It's been around for 10 years. Oh no!
I also, not to be this guy, I gave out the raspberry Uncrustable food for thought a couple weeks ago.
Dang,
oh, Mason, what a tough break for
Zach
you.
didn't even notice it.
Oh, imagine doubling up and
have you tried it yet? Yeah, we have.
No, I haven't seen it in stories yet.
Well, I know you haven't talked about this yet. Somebody looked up all 1,400 restaurants that have been on diners, drive-ins, and dives, and did the research of how many have went out of business. According to the source here, 224 of the 14,000 or 1,400, not 14,000, have closed, which is just shy of 15%. Is that bad luck?
I wish you would have let us guess, because I was going to say 258. That was my number.
Dang it. Yep,
I could have looked smart, but now I'm just dumb.
It's okay. I'm just the idiot that already repeated one of our food for thought. So we have something in common.
A lot of those Triple D places are probably from the early seasons, mom and pop places that didn't want to do it anymore with like the kids taking over. They probably sold. That's what it is. Triple D is not bad luck. If you think so, go walk in traffic. No slander of Flavor Town around here.
This guy.
Give him as a sponsor. Go ahead and DM him right now. All right, that was my food for thought.
Love it.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Oh, see that text there, Zach?
Yep. Okay, guys. I did a little bit of live fact checking.
Oh no!
This tells me that
the hazelnut.
According to my fact check, Smucker's Uncrustables chocolate flavored hazelnut spread, which is Nutella, were released as a new flavor for the brand in 2024. This was the first new flavor in 10 years for Uncrustables. Google AI told me that. So Google AI could be wrong on that one. I think we need to fact check Google AI maybe.
You should probably always fact check Google AI.
I don't know. Yeah, Google AI is the least trustworthy of them. So it's hard to say. But I did see that.
Okay. Well, we'll need
because then another website just said we're doing this is a good podcast. I
found the raspberry one like straight up on an actual website, not on Google AI. We need to go to actual stores and find both of these. Put us on a mission. Leave our houses right now.
I've had the Nutella one.
See, I saw that one. I'd never seen it before. All the time. I was at.
Well, did you have them only this year? Because according to AI, it came out just this year. Or did you have them in the past? Have you had them? Have you had them before 2024?
Yeah, because Macy, I'd pack them in Macy's lunch. She'd see me buy the box, and she'd be like, "Yep, that's what I want for lunch for the rest of the week."
So according to
Nutella
AI, it was
Uncrustable.
It does sound pretty good.
She smashes them.
I think something crazy has happened.
Oh no!
It's like one of those Mandela effect moments where we're like,
we jumped into
this real or not?
Wrong timeline.
I think Google AI might have just actually been wrong. Shout out. Okay. Well, what a way to wrap up an episode, everyone. Thank you for joining us here. We are excited for this weekend of football. Join us on the Discord. Join us on socials, TikTok. Make fun of us. That's what everyone else does, apparently. Get on there. Join the club. Make fun of our bad takes. My Missouri take last week really was torn apart by the people of TikTok. So if you want to make fun of our bets or you want to hear our bets, join us on the Discord. We are giving out a lot of bets this weekend. My Missouri one was bad, but I had a couple winners as well. So be there with us. Tim's giving out a lot. Mason's giving out some NFL stuff there. So it's a really fun community. We have been talking ball. I have a feeling we will be on there all day Saturday as a pretty incredible slate of football is happening. We appreciate all of you listeners out there. We thank you for listening, and we will see you on Monday for the recap of the weekend.